Developed by Crows. Don't know anything about this game. Excited to try it. I hear it's pretty short. Let's see. It's so good. All right, let's check it out. Let's go English. Confirm. I have not played the Stanley Parable before. I was just going over this. So the computer is barely visible. All right, I'm gonna need chat's input on this. How's that? Is that computer barely visible? Can you see it? It's on the left of the chair. It's perfect. All right. Please enter the current time. Can you really not take that from the system? End is never the end is never the end. Wait, did I just skip something on accident? No, we can't do that. Not touching it. I just can't play this game, can I?
This is the story of a man
Thank you.
named Stanley.
I saw a big X appear and
Stanley worked for
I was out of
a
control.
building where he was
Signal went from my brain to my finger
427.
before I could even process what happened.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year.
This is gonna hit too close to home, isn't
Might
it?
have considered it soul-rending. Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for
Shit.
his job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar
It's a mirror holding a knife.
Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oh god, this is all what is free will, isn't it? Because now we're giving him the controls, or we're controlling him. We're giving him the orders.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Walk open floors. Tell me about it. Oh, we can sneak. I'm gonna hide under the desk. No, I won't. Too tall. Is there no like zoom button? That's what I want to. Huh.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Like Kelly did.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
We got
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room.
This carpet is so incredibly
Stanley simply
off-putting.
stood here, drinking it all in.
Fuel.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room.
Yeah, we're
Room so utterly captivating.
number one,
that
Dad.
even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings.
Yep.
Really worth it.
We're all machines, huh?
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Okay, I'll listen this time.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
No, he didn't. We got a new addition to our break
But
room.
Stanley didn't want to go back to
The other day.
office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track.
Yes,
so
he
now,
did.
in order to get back, he needed to go, from here, it's, left.
Great. Our break room now
Oh,
features...
No, it's to the right. My mistake.
You need to interrupt like that every time? Our break room now...
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right?
I'm going back up the damn elevator.
What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Our break room now has ants, which is great.
Now, let's see. We went down, right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
You sure? We also got a new fan in the office. A new fan in the hallway.
No,
because a
This
drinking
isn't
fountain
part of the
started
story. You're not
leaking,
supposed to be here
and so they
yet.
just
This
put a
is
fan
all
on it
spoiler. Quick,
dry it
Stanley,
off.
Close your eyes. Okay.
It's been there for like a week.
We just have to get back to oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off
We're
track.
427.
Okay, from the top.
I couldn't even find the number. They were like in order. I still couldn't find it.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Why bother choosing? You're...
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
I want the only door that looks like it's blocked off. That is what I was going for.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see
It's
if
gonna
we
be
missed
different,
anything?
isn't it? Who didn't clean up their mess?
Aha! I knew we'd miss
Hey, Mighty
something.
Mouse.
The story. Here it comes.
A jump to
No, wait,
conclusions,
never mind.
Matt.
Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps. Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I
did
know you
it.
put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all.
I didn't do
We
it.
both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations.
Good stream.
Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Adventure line. All right, all right.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line.
Just gonna piss
Just
him off.
follow the line. How simple is that?
Same narrator from Little Big Planet. Oh, is it Benedict Cumberbund? No. I want to go this way.
No, I'm down. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
I don't know who did Little Big Planet. It's been I've only played Little Big Planet 3. And I played it for like an hour. I wanted to go through it with my wife in co-op, but
You see?
she wasn't having
the
it.
line knows where the story is. It's over in
Yep.
this direction. Onward, Stanley,
Yep.
to destiny.
Yep.
Though,
Whee.
here's a thought.
Damn it.
Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination
Damn
is
it.
inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of
Wait.
the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me.
We're gonna get real
Now,
existential,
we can
aren't
both
we?
agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence.
This doesn't
right?
make any sense.
Okay. Now, if my
Right?
experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Was the Riddler in this? This is too energetic for this early. that from Payday? Corporate imbalances, monthly ledgers, financial records, consolidation reports. Okay. What?
Wait, cut the music.
Thank you.
Go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you
As
study
a
it
homeowner,
closely
fuck
and
ferns.
remember it carefully.
Fuck ferns.
You won't want to miss anything.
At our last house, our neighbor had them up along the fence line, which meant that they were all over our yard because they just shoot shit off. They spread like wildfire, and they have like the deepest roots. They're so annoying. If you want to piss
Wait,
off your neighbors, plant
we're back at
ferns.
the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
It was the beginning again. With runners. I think they have, from doing a bunch of crosswords, I think they use spores. Oh, hey, we're back.
Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we
There's
trusted you,
427.
after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
A miracle of evolution. And so it must be snuffed out before it gains sentience and takes over all of us.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's
Yeah.
it done for us?
Fuck
We're
adventure.
intelligent people, right?
No.
Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious.
Give me a gun.
Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How
Actually, in
about
an office
this
setting, that
direction?
probably wouldn't be appropriate.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild.
A romance.
Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
I wasn't acknowledging it before. Our new fern overlords. Last of Us zombies would be a lot scarier if it was ferns and not cordyceps.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here,
Do
the
we?
story is in our control.
Is it?
How important
Is that the
we
point?
mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here.
Good, I need a
Let's
minute to
walk
drink
in
coffee.
circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one.
Great logic.
Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what,
After a long time,
eight
Stanley dies.
times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined?
Gonna restart.
So now, according to the
Forgets
schedule,
about
I
previous.
restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
But maybe
And
by
the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just
both
wait.
doors go to the
You
same
know,
place.
I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Jump scare.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okay.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
Tips for
Stanley
not getting
decided to
fired.
go
Don't
up to
get
his
fired.
boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Let it ball up inside of you. Passive aggressively on other coworkers. Resent coworkers for not supporting you more. Oh no. Slick blue graphic. This is so... Oh my god. I hate it. Monetized free to play. Ugh. Oh boy. Need less reviews. Okay, I have to get out. I have to leave.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Following the instructions to begin with. I mean, come on. Can I see anything that's written on there? It's a cat on a motorcycle. That's pretty cool.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy.
Uh-oh.
And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close
You're not going to make me
automatically
look down.
behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how
Are we gonna get stuck in a paradox?
Thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley.
This bothers me.
After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran. All of his co-workers were gone. What could
Okay.
it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors,
I'll be good.
he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he
Funding
might
for
find an answer
R&D of
there.
new coffee machine. Get Chris out of the broom closet. The future was yesterday, tomorrow is now. Oh god. Chris?
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Alright, well, I guess they accomplished that goal. Chris isn't there.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled,
Wine?
Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Something weird about the idea of drinking, like, somehow keeping, like, whiskey seems more normal. Wine just seems like some psycho shit.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway. Descending deeper into the building, Stanley
Chianti.
realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest.
There's some
as
fava
though he
beans in there,
felt
too.
more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Isopropyl?
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
I mean, very fancy and expensive cans of cheap beer. It's just numbers.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
You were shocked to see how expensive fava beans are? I had no idea. I don't know that I've ever seen them, although I don't think I've ever looked for them either. I heard somewhere, I don't know if it was true, if it's true, but that line in Silence of the Lambs was him trying to say that he's off his meds. He wasn't taking his meds because, like, you can't take it with wine or beans or something.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't
Broad
accept
beans.
it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all. And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Monoamine oxidase inhibitors could have been used to treat him, and the 3 things you're not allowed to eat while taking them is liver, beans, and wine. There you go. On the source.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Walked into Skyrim. Like if I had to go to that office, I'd be miserable. But if that office was located in that place, maybe that wouldn't be too bad. Son of a bitch.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office? When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Let's go this way again.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Ah, yes, the good old
Yes,
employee lounge.
This room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life with but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Did I go in here before? If you were lying right now, stop. Stop it.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Oh, you're just sending me back to the meeting room.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Okay.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he might coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy. So
Tell me about it.
He relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
Hey, Alexi.
Feeling soothed,
I am the
and
most
rejuvenated,
expensive boss,
Stanley
it says.
calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Can I read what the other captions say? Carte Blanche featuring Mount Blanc. Sewage Lilies by Claude Money. Oh boy. Mont Blanc.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Hey, I'm alive.
As the machine whirred into motion, and
As if the
Stanley
view gets
was
better while
inched
maintaining
closer and
stationary.
closer
Well, I
to
was trying
his
to read
demise,
something.
He reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no
Oh, now I'm
loss,
dead.
like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man.
Oh, great.
And so he
That makes me
resigned
feel good.
and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Bye. The end is never the end is never the
Farewell,
end.
Stanley,
Oh, okay.
cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly. And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same.
Fuck.
Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
There's not nearly enough whiskey in this coffee for this. Freedom ending in beta. You're already at work feeling that way. Stanley would end up on a battlefield fighting aliens. Too jokey and on the nose for the tone of the game. Some people interpreted it as making fun of people who like shooters, which was not our intention. Kevin Brighting. Okay. Sounds like a Brighting.
Oh, I don't know. How about they're throwing a surprise party for him for all his button pushing? Does that sound plausible to you? Stanley pushed the number 6. The orange lever. For the player to do anything in this room.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
Have a good one, Val.
But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Turn off your PlayStation. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose.
This is gonna mess up. Okay. The final boss of Bravely Default attempts to delete your save file. Can he actually delete it? Isn't that a long game? Before we get started, can I just say something? Thank you for actually setting the clock both times you booted up the game. God. A lot of people don't take that step seriously. They just leave the clock set at 12 and call it a day. But you're actually taking the time to set the clock, and I appreciate that. That's how I know you care about this experience. You're paying attention. I don't even have any way of knowing it if the times you're setting are correct. Tell you what, I'll make you a deal. Since you've been so cooperative, next time you boot up the game and see the screen, just set the clock to your favorite time. Go ahead, pick whichever time you want, even if it's not the current time. You've earned it. All right, I'll let you get back to the video game now. All right.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
A favorite time?
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders
really.
came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of
Whatever
every
time you
month
leave work.
of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job.
When no one else is awake. You know, last weekend I went grocery shopping at like 7:30.
And then one
Or something
day,
like that.
something very peculiar happened.
Great
Something
time to do
would
that.
Forever change Stanley. Something he would never
No one
quite
else is
forget.
there.
He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order.
Okay, we've seen this.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When
We're gonna
Stanley
go this way.
came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Admire.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Late night, early morning. Late night
Stanley
here
was
always
so bad at
sucks.
following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Yeah, oh god.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about.
What? Really?
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others?
Danger
Are you that
everywhere.
convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Let's not listen.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Gotcha.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let
Midnight?
me stop you.
I should try that. We have plenty. We have
Nothing
24-hour grocery
I
stores.
haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Oh,
Neutral.
of course. A 3. Really? Maybe next time we can get you to form an actual opinion, you know? Any level of critical thinking or engagement with your surroundings? Does that sound good? Think we can do that? Yes? Wonderful. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Worldwide leaderboard. The worst 3% of players chose the blue door. Objectively ranked last. These are fake. These are fake. They're absolutely fake.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers.
We give him
please.
1 point less.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience. You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me?
That's the trolley
Because if it's
problem.
the
I didn't do
latter, I
anything.
don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me.
More
I'm
babies.
not even going to try. I'm out. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here?
There's actually an outcome for doing it for 4 hours. I
Seems like it'll work. Let's give it a
100%
shot.
expected that. That seems right up.
Aha!
Is this
Fascinating.
Firewatch?
What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more.
Don't tread on
Let's
me.
venture outward and see what else is out there.
I actually did want to play Firewatch. I've not played it yet. Two hours in, it throws a wrench in the works. I might have to do that. It's a strange game, yep.
Oh no. No, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any...
Oh, God.
Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls. Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
Rocket League?
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind.
Oh, that's
Just
funny.
a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this
Why is it tilting?
is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
The narrator watches the stream.
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together.
Come here.
Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Can you run into the goal? I assume so. Do I get vaporized if I do that?
Are you doing it?
Uh-oh.
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
I think I'm headed back toward my desk if I go this way. I missed the goal with the ball. I know that bothers me.
What he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Have a good one, companies.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I mean, you can't really
Oh, new content?
can't really pass
What does
that door.
mean, new content.
Smart this time. Put a railing on it.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
I doubt it.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... oh, here we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if oh, okay. Let's see the content. Gimme the content, Stanley.
Content.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle. Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Oh, yes. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could counter 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And if... Oh, wait. There's
Commentary.
more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Thank you for enjoying the new content.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's trophies, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test trophy, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No
Yeah, Prime
frills,
Remastered was announced
no
yesterday
gimmicks.
and released.
Just you and me having a great time together like always.
I'm gonna wait for a physical
What do
copy.
you say, friend?
You purring? Purring? Hey, bud. Smelling my coffee?
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent.
All right.
I want to show you something.
Prime 4 pre-order page was up shortly before being taken down again.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take
Oh
a
god, is
look.
this the Talos principle?
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap PlayStation port? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then,
British
all
Academy
meant
of
something.
Film and Television Arts awarded to the Stanley Parable. The Last of Us. You taped over The Last of Us. Audience award. Oh man. The BAFTA. Our first dollar. Creator surprisingly down to earth. Oh man. They seem a little bitter at the BAFTAs.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form
The
of
Sterling
art,
impression.
Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. a lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Okay. Yeah, the achievement. I think it's 5 years. Probably just set your system clock forward. Turn off the internet connection.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been
10 years for Ultra
confronted with
Deluxe?
in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it,
Playing for
Stanley?
the entire
game was
duration of a
perfect.
Tuesday.
It didn't need anything else. It
Oh,
didn't
my.
need new content. All they had to do was transport it in pristine condition along to the PlayStation, boom, done. And they couldn't even do that. Couldn't resist the urge to go meddling with a beloved franchise.
Repeatable carpet textures.
These were simpler times, Stanley. What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no, oh God, no, Stanley. It's a collection of reviews from Pressurized Gas, the extremely popular online storefront for computer games.
Steam.
I haven't looked at these in years.
Oh boy.
I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Are you not allowed to say Steam on PlayStation? I wonder.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Did I find Stanley's Parables yet? Oh, I see. Parable. I get you. Uh-oh, here's another one. I like how the positive ones are all like forgotten and left down, but
Let's
it's
see
the
what this one says. While the idea
negative
for the game
ones.
is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down.
it says
Perhaps
Steam on
the
PC.
Stanley
Interesting.
Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you... Oh, you're back, you see, you were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe... Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? Stanley,
2:10.
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really true. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here. Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever... But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes?
Should probably
Where are the
go to work.
jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Surely something's gonna happen. Morning, Specifier. So was that you? Mad Max. Can I hit it again? Oh no, it's broken. Alright, let's just start walking. I think I'm gonna have to call it here. I think we'll keep going with this tomorrow, probably. Probably another stream's worth of content in this game. Perfect. We're back at the beginning.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Perfect.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to
Well,
go
this
to
is
the meeting
interesting.
room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
But I have to call it here because I'm already late. I'm already running late for work. But thank you guys for hanging out. I think I'm going to go to work now and have an existential crisis. I hope you all have a lovely day.